The desperate plea from Vanny Prime, the morning light on Vanny Prime was soft, washing the crystal towers in gold and blue as children laughed in the gardens and music floated from open windows. High philosopher Nem watched it all from the council. Chamber's window, feeling a sadness she could barely put into words. The Vanny had built a paradise, one of healing, learning, and peace. But now war hovered just out of sight, coming closer every hour. Inside the council chamber, the elders spoke in hushed voices. Reports were grim. The core empire, infamous for conquest and cruelty, was moving inexorably toward their world. Core. Colonies had already been lost cities burned, millions enslaved or killed. The Vanny's defense fleet had been destroyed in hours. Their neighbors, the so-called great powers of the galaxy, offered only sympathy and closed their borders. We cannot hold them, said Elder Kira, her voice trembling. Even if we fight, we'll only die tired? Elder Ren clung to hope. Surely someone will help us. We've sent requests to every known civilization. Nem closed her eyes, remembering the proud Vanny explorers who first ventured to the stars. They had dreamed of meeting other peaceful peoples, of trading knowledge and art, but the galaxy, it seemed, belonged to those who took what they wanted. A night passed. Then another. 43 messages came, each one a rejection, each more polite and empty than the last. The Vanny Council's hope faded. Then Dr. Kira's device chimed with a new message. She read it aloud, her voice rising. It's from a species called humans of the Sol system. They offer assistance, said Ren. But their world is listed as a death world, class 12. Kira scanned the file. A death world is a planet so dangerous that life itself is a daily battle. Humans evolved there, predators, storms, poison, even their own diseases. They must be primitive survivors. Nem saw the fear in their eyes, but also a flicker of desperate hope. Tell them yes, we accept. Invite their leader to Vanny Prime. What choice do we have? 3 weeks later, the humans arrived. Their ships looked nothing like Vanny vessels. All hard angles, functional, ugly machines built for war. In the great spaceport, the Vanny delegation waited nervously as the human shuttle landed. The doors opened. Out strode Captain Jake Morrison, broad-shouldered, scarred, his movements efficient and controlled. 4 more humans followed, all in. Worn combat uniforms, all with eyes that missed nothing. Nem extended her hand, imitating the human greeting. Welcome, Captain Morrison. We are grateful for your aid. Morrison's handshake was firm. Let's get right to business. What's the core empire's timeline? How many ships do they have left? Are there any planetary defenses we can use? The Vanny elders were caught off guard. We hope, perhaps, for evacuation ships, medical aid, technology to help us defend. Ourselves, Morrison frowned. You want to run? We came here to fight. The silence in the room was deafening. Major Lisa Torres, the human tactical officer, stepped forward. Our doctrine is simple. If someone threatens our allies, we eliminate the threat. The Vanny exchanged worried glances. Had they just invited a hurricane to their peaceful world? Morrison nodded once. If you trust us, stay out of our way. If not, we'll leave. Nem hesitated, but then she nodded. We trust you. Save us. Outside, dawn rose over Vanny Prime. In orbit, the human fleet began to prepare for war. Deathworlders arrived. The next days were a blur of activity. Human engineers moved through Vanny cities, requisitioning materials and setting up field bases. Their machines were loud and brutal, metal claws tearing up gardens, drones digging trenches in parks. The Vanny watched in horror centuries old. Statues were melted for armor plates, and flower beds became firing positions. Nem tried to mediate, but the humans worked with a focused urgency that brooked no debate. Survival first, beauty later, Torres said bluntly as her troops converted. A music hall into a command post. The Vanny were unused to such ruthless practicality. They had spent centuries perfecting the art of healing. Now they were taught to build barricades and set traps. Dr. Tom Rodriguez, the human intelligence officer, Ran training sessions for the bravest, Vanny. You don't need to fight, but you do need to know how to hide, how to help the wounded, how to spot the enemy. Even the children watched, fascinated and terrified. As the humans drilled every day, Major Torres held a strategy meeting in the council chamber. The Corps will attack soon. We don't have time for perfect plans, only effective ones. We'll hit their supply lines, sow confusion, and force them to divide their fleet. We use the terrain, these gardens and towers, to our advantage. Elder Kira was appalled. But this is our home. You can't destroy it. Home is meaningless if you're dead, Torres replied. The first signs of the core fleet appeared on the outer sensors. Hundreds of ships, moving like a dark storm through space. Vanny leaders gathered to watch. The approach, holding hands, whispering prayers. On the eve of battle, Morrison addressed the council. You wanted aid. This is what it looks like on a death world. For the first time, the Vanny understood what it meant to ask a species of survivors for help. The battle for Vanny Prime. The core fleet dropped from hyperspace in a blaze of crimson light, guns charged and ready. War Chieftain Vex stood on the bridge of the Blood Reaper, confident. His warriors expected an easy victory, just another soft world to add to their empire. Instead, they found a human fleet waiting, holding formation above Vanny Prime. Morrison's voice rang across open channels. You have invaded our allies' world. Withdraw, or be destroyed. Vex laughed and ordered the attack. Plasma cannons blazed. The sky turned red and white. But instead of retreating, the humans advanced. Their ships moved with reckless speed, diving into the heart of the core formation. Impossible, muttered Vex as human vessels closed the distance ramming. Boarding? Fighting at ranges so close that tactics dissolved into chaos. Human marines cut through core cruisers with plasma torches and explosives, forcing their way inside to fight hand-to-hand in the streets of Vanny Prime. Human and Vanny defenders worked together, luring core landing parties into narrow alleys filled with traps, hidden bombs, collapsing bridges, even electrified fountains. Kira hid in a makeshift hospital, tending wounded, her hands shaking as artillery shook the city. In the sky above, burning ships fell in slow arcs, raining debris. The Vanny had never known such terror, yet the humans pressed on. When a squad was cornered, they didn't surrender. They fought to the last breath, or detonated their suits to take enemies with them. For every human lost, 10 core fell. The battle raged for hours. Reports filtered in-core ships abandoned, warriors routed, entire companies refusing to leave their landing craft. For the first time in centuries, the core faltered. They had met something they could not understand, something they could not break. Total annihilation as dawn rose. The battered remains of the core fleet tried to regroup. War Chieftain Vex ordered a general retreat, but the humans did not let them escape. Admiral Lisa Torres led a vanguard of battered ships through the debris field, hunting core survivors. Human marines launched boarding pods, crossing the void. Under fire, cutting into enemy hulls and dragging core commanders from their own bridges. The few core who managed to surrender were herded into makeshift prisons on Vanny Prime. Dr. Rodriguez watched over them, his face grim. Mercy is for the living. The rest is for the dead. The Vanny, once terrified, now stood in awe. Human soldiers helped rebuild shattered towers, their voices quiet, their hands steady. For all their violence, the humans were not cruel. They shared rations, tended the wounded friend and foe alike. In the council chamber, Morrison met with Nem. The core will not return. You are safe. Nem could hardly meet his eyes. At what cost? Our city is in ruins. Our children will never forget this day. Morrison's voice was soft but unyielding. Better scars than graves. That is the Deathworlder's way. Outside, the ruins of Vanny Prime glowed in the morning sun. Life would return, but innocence was gone. The price of survival weeks passed. Vanny Prime rebuilt. New gardens were planted among the rubble. Memorials rose for the dead Vanny and human. Side by side, the council met one last time with Captain Morrison and his officers. Nem spoke for them all. We cannot thank you enough, but was there truly no other way? Morrison looked at her, his eyes tired. Maybe there was, but we are what our world made us. On Earth, everything tries to kill you. You learn to fight, or you die. Elder Wren asked, will the core return? Not soon, Major Torres replied. They lost too much, but others will come. The galaxy is not a safe place? Never forget that the Vanny gifted the humans with their healing technology, as promised. But they also sent a message to all the worlds that had ignored their plea. Never ask a Deathworlder for help unless you are ready to pay the price. As the human fleet departed, Vanny children watched the strange, angular ships disappear into the stars. Some waved. Some cried. All remembered. On the bridge of the lead ship, Morrison looked back at the blue world and whispered, another job. Done. Another promise kept. Far above, the galaxy spun on. And somewhere, another distress call went out, carried on the hope and the fear of those who would someday meet the Death Worlders. End asterisk.